3,000-year-old miniature axe has been recovered in Adare in County Limerick. It's understood the artefact was unearthed by someone with a metal detector, and the authorities found out about it after a member of the public spotted it on social media. Maeve Sikora is Keeper of Irish Antiquities at the National Museum of Ireland, and she's here. Good morning.
Good morning, Rachel.
Tell us about this axe. It's a little thing.
It's a beautiful little bronze axe, and we would call it a socketed axe head. So it was probably used in carpentry or for woodworking. It dates to about 1000 BC, so 3,000 years old.
So the idea is that it would have been used to chip away at wood?
Yes, exactly. We know from recovering wooden objects that tool marks are actually visible in some objects, so we can surmise that this would have been used in woodworking.
What do you know about how it was unearthed? Because it wasn't found by your own people, so to speak.
Yes, so we are very grateful to the member of the public who reported it to us, and also to An Garda Síochána locally in Adare, but also the Art and Antiques Unit of the National Bureau of Criminal Investigation, who assist us in tracing these things. So it was really a report from a member of the public that alerted us to it, and then together with An Garda Síochána we were able to pursue the matter.
And as you understand it then, was it found by somebody with a metal detector?
Yes, so it was found by unlicensed metal detecting. So metal detecting in this jurisdiction is regulated under the National Monuments Act, and the reason for that is to protect objects and to protect the context in which they are found, so that, you know, the maximum information can be found from them.
Can you explain that for us? Why is the context so important?
Well, for archaeologists, the context is, you know, really key. So while the object is important, it's where it is in the ground, the sort of layers that are, you know, that it surround it, and the position it's been placed in can yield an awful lot of information. So, for example, other tools and weapons that have been found from this period may sometimes have a piece of wood in the socket, and that can be used to date, radiocarbon date accurately the object. So it's massively important for us, and that's why metal detection can only be done under licence from the Minister for Culture, Heritage and Equality.
Can you bring us through that? I mean, what's the procedure if somebody buys a metal detector and they decide that they want to go out and see what they can find? What should they do? What are they allowed to do?
Well, we're very delighted to be able to raise awareness of this, because it's really important for people to understand, and also for farmers and landowners to understand that it's actually against the law to metal detect without a licence. So between the National Museum and my colleagues in the National Monument Service, who actually issue the licence, we're responsible for this legislation and for enacting it. So really my advice would be that you know, there are many other elements of community archaeology and other things to get involved in, and I would really advise against using a metal detector, because you run the risk of damaging archaeological monuments, which are not always visible above ground, but also archaeological deposits and objects.
Is it much of a problem?
Well, obviously this case is a good example of it, where this object wasn't reported to the authorities. So, you know, my view of it is that these objects belong to everybody, and the National Museum's responsibility is to ensure that these objects are preserved for future generations. So it's a serious matter, I would say.
Has anything else been found in the same area? I mean, is this an area that you would have been familiar with anyway?
Well, you know, the reports of discovery from farmers and hikers and landowners bring us up and down the country. So last month I was in Cork, where a finder had found a beautiful little arrowhead while she was hiking in the mountains. So you just never know where things are going to be found.
Which must be a wonderful discovery if you're just rambling along and you come across something.
Absolutely fantastic, you know, and in that case they were amazing. Just phoned us straight away and reported it, and also recorded the discovery on their GPS, because they were hikers, so they had their Garmin with them, so to record the exact find spot in the mountains.
Fantastic. And would the Adare area then, where this particular little axe was found, would it be known as an area rich in artefacts? Yes,
Adare is very historic. So and there are a number of late Bronze Age hoards, so similar to the date of this object here, that are from the Adare area. So it is incredibly rich.
So there might be more there.
Yes, I mean, you can say you never know. I mean, I was in here last summer talking about the Tullydonnell hoard from Donegal that was discovered through drainage work, so it's not predictable in many cases. These things can be just chance discoveries.
All right, so at this stage then, do you know a fair bit about settlement in that area during the Bronze Age?
Well, objects like this will paint a picture, so we will, use from our own archives in the museum, look at distribution patterns of where things are found, and we have a fair idea of the date of these axe heads from other ones that were discovered. So yeah, it just all helps to build up a picture.
And would there have been many people in the area at the time then?
I think so. It would have been likely that there would have been quite substantial settlement. It's not a million miles away from where you have really significant discoveries of objects like gorgets, so those late Bronze Age gold objects. So we know that there was a particular wealth in Ireland in the late Bronze Age.
And I suppose that is, I mean, we tend to think of Adare now. I lived there as a child and it's such a beautiful place. We tend to think of it now in terms of the buildings, but when you think about the river and the land and everything around there, as you say, you can see it being quite a rich area.
Absolutely, a very rich area. And of course, rivers were hugely important throughout prehistory and medieval times as well.
Will the little axe be on public display?
It will. My colleague Carol Smith in the Conservation Department has it at the moment because there's damage to the socket, so we need to look after it first from a conservation point of view, and we will certainly hope to put it on display in the future. But for people that are interested in looking at similar ones, there are many beautiful examples on display in Kildare Street at the moment.
Well, listen, Maeve, thanks a million for joining us on the programme this morning. Maeve Sikora there, who's Keeper of Irish Antiquities at the National Museum.